Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report, introducing a new company to all of you, Fuerte Metals, formerly Atacama Copper Corp, chatting with Tim Warman, CEO of Fuerte Metals. You can find the stock traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol FMT and on the OTC markets under the symbol FUEMF. Now, the company has projects in Mexico. Those are going to be more the near-term catalyst, as the company has a about 21,000 meter drill program underway, focused on more a high-grade underground resource, as well as some porphyry projects in Chile. Tim, let's start off with how Fuerte Metals came together. Again, this was formerly Atacama Copper. That's where those Chilean projects are from. Give us a lay of the ground here for Fuerte Metals, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the company, when I originally joined it, it just had the Chilean projects. It was called Atacama Copper. And these are some really interesting copper porphyry projects, right, surrounded by a big tech-Newmont JV. And it had been put together by a bunch of Ross Beatty's guys at the Lumina Group and then the Metals Capital guys in Toronto. But we realized that we needed more than one project in the company. And so we looked at a couple different things. And when we met with the guys from a company called Trinity Capital, which is very tightly associated with Pierre Lassonde, and they had a private co called TCP1 that had these projects in Mexico, primarily the Christina project. And they had been funded in the past by Nico Eagle and Pierre Lassonde and Trinity. And this is all done privately. They drilled it for a few years, but we're looking for a way to take it public. And we really liked the idea of putting that kind of shareholder registry together. From our side, we got Ross Beatty, we got a bunch of other really interesting funds out of Vancouver, we got the Metals Capital guys, and then from the other side, we had Trinity Capital and Pierre Lassonde and Nico Eagle. So bringing this kind of shareholder registry together, I think, was probably one of the main drivers of this, on top of the great project. And then Charlie Roncos, who'd been running that company, he was the former EVP exploration at Goldcorp. So he's joined our team now. So we've got this amazing explorationist with a lot of track record. And so now we've got this great project in Mexico. As you say, we're drilling on it right now. We've got projects in Chile, and then looking to grow the company with the support of that big and impressive shareholder base.
All right, let's get into this Christina property. It has an indicated resource of a little over 700,000 ounces gold equivalent at over 1.3 grams per ton gold equivalent. Also has an inferred asset of close to 800,000 ounces gold equivalent at right around that same grade as the indicated. But this is more an open pit resource. You're focused more at the underground. Take us through how you are, in a way, re-envisioning this asset.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, these projects, Christina is a series of big, fat, chunky, like 10-meter wide veins that run for 4 or 5 kilometers. And there's several, like 4 or 5 parallel vein systems on this project. And these are vertical veins. And that original resource was done by the private company. It looked at it as an open pit. These things don't make any sense as an open pit. They're perfectly designed for underground mining. They've got these high-grade zones within them. We're about a quarter of the way through this 20,000 meter drilling program to test those high-grade zones, and we've been delivering consistent high-grade intercepts out of this thing, 7, 8, 12, even our best one was about 27 grams per ton gold equivalent over several meters, and they're big, chunky, perfectly amenable for underground mining. So the goal is we're going to keep drilling that, focusing in on those high-grade zones. We'll drill right through to probably April or May of next year. And then when we get that drilling wrapped up, we'll go straight into a resource update, again, focused on an underground mine plan. And then assuming we get a reasonable number out of our resource estimate, and we're pretty confident that we're going to get that, then we'll go into a PEA to try and wrap some economics around it. But I think this thing, ultimately, our goal is to define a multi-million ounce project here, but as an underground mine, which obviously, given the situation in Mexico, makes a lot more sense.
Yes, it does. Boy, oh boy, we've talked a whole lot about the politics in Mexico, especially around open pit mines. Are there any other assets that you can give us kind of a related aspect on for this project, the Christina project, underground, in terms of what the potential might be?
Yeah, it's really interesting because Charlie Roncos, our VPX, and I, just like 2 weeks ago, we're down in Mexico. And the guys at Fresnillo very kindly invited us to visit their San Julian mine, which is actually in the same municipality that we're in Chihuahua. And we went underground there, and they're mining these big, chunky, vertical gold, silver veins underground, fully mechanized mine. I mean, this is a mine that produces about 200,000 gold equivalent ounces per year. They've got two big parallel mills. The pure gold silver one is about 4,000 ton a day. The flotation plant is about 8,000 ton a day. So it's a big mine. And we looked at this underground and we were like, wow, this looks exactly like what we envisioned Christina is going to look like when it's eventually in production. So yeah, even in the same municipality, there's a mine that looks exactly like what we want to build.
Let's move down to Chile then. The Porphyry project down there. Look, this had been worked up by Atacama Copper. Will the company Fuerte Metals be doing anything down in Chile?
Yeah, absolutely. So the issue when I took over the company was that there were some access issues to get into that project. It really is a neat project, though. These are a couple of big porphyry targets. They've never been drilled. They've got all this beautiful porphyry alteration at surface. They've got copper gold anomalies at surface in the surface samples. We've done some geophysics over them, and we're just wrapping up a bit more geophysics on them. They just look like beautiful porphyry targets, but they've never been drilled. But they're surrounded by this big tech-Newmont giant Nueva Union project that's got something like 20 billion pounds of copper and 10 million ounces of gold in reserves. And I think it's the biggest undeveloped copper project in the Americas right now. And we sit right in the middle of that, completely surrounded by the tech-Newmont claims. What I'd ideally like to do is we'll wrap up the geophysics on this and then talk to some of the majors about it and say, look, do you guys want to come in, maybe do a small earn and pay for some of the drilling here? It's not a huge focus for us in the sense of you guys have infrastructure down there, you have people down there, and you can do this a lot more effectively and efficiently than we can and use other people's money because these porphyry copper deposits, they're expensive to explore. I mean, if you look at the amount of money that the Lundins put into the Filo project over the years, I mean, it's, these are not small projects at all. And we're quite happy to partner with somebody on those.
Okay, so to be determined, your partner, when you can bring one in, but yes, you are right. Porphyry projects, man, oh man, they cost a lot of money to explore and to develop. Let's talk about more the corporate strategy, though, because it's something you had mentioned when we were chatting about this company before recording, is that you're moving forward the Christina property, but the team that's behind this and a lot of your backers, look, these guys like advanced assets, bringing assets into production and using that to leverage other projects and even consolidate the industry. What's the potential here of the company growing its portfolio base, and what would you be looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I mean, I see this as a really good analogy to when I was running Fiore Gold. We picked up a production asset in 2017. We paid $5 million for it. We raised $17 million to give us some working capital, and we never raised another dollar. We never issued another share on financing until we sold the company to Calibre for $172 million a couple of years ago. And so our shareholders got to ride that share price increase up without any dilution at all. And we see a real advantage of going that way this time. Again, we've got backers who want us to do this. We talk to our backers quite regularly, and they're like, look, we want to make this a producing company. They've got great access to projects. They've got deal flow, both on the Trinity and Pierre Lassonde side, and then on the Lumina side with Ross Beatty's group and Metalist. We've got all these people out there looking for projects and people bringing them projects to try and fund. And I think we've got this ready-made management team set up that's done this in the past. And that's key in this industry, right? Is you got to follow the management teams that have had success. And we've been very fortunate in our careers, both Charlie and I, to work for some very successful companies. And so I think we both want to do this again. We're pretty excited about it. And we've got the backing to do it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, is having that backing. Another important thing, too, is also controlling your share structure. Let's talk about the share structure. About 61 million shares outstanding, only about 64.5 million shares on a fully diluted basis. Stock right now trading right around $1. So we're looking at a right around $60 to $65 million market cap. What can you tell us about the allocation of these shares? They're in a lot of well-known people's hands.
Yeah, they are. So, I mean, management and board has about 12.2% of the stock. And I think, again, it's important that management has skin in the game. And I've definitely put my own cash in. I don't have any fractionals of a penny kind of shares. I bought mine in the market. Trinity Capital is a 17% holder, and then Pierre Lassonde in his own fund has just under 12%. We've got Agnico Eagle as a strategic. They own about 8%. And then a bunch of other institutions and a lot of guys in the mining industry, a lot of former CEOs of mining companies and things, names that you'd all recognize. And it doesn't trade huge volumes yet because we've been a little quiet over the summer, and we'll start putting out some more news flows. We get into the drilling season in Mexico starting very soon. And yeah, and going to be out there very hungry. We're well cashed up. We've got almost $8 million in cash and no debt. And we're going to be cranking out news, and we're going to be looking for assets, and particularly producing assets.
Again, that news very much will be focused at that 21,000 meter drill program at the Christina property. What can you tell us about the budget of that program, how far you're through, and when we can start to expect some more results?
Yeah, you should. So we're doing about 21,000 meters. I think we've drilled about 5,000 meters so far. We took a little break in July and August because of the heavy rains in Mexico that typically happen in the summer. But now we're back at it. The overall budget for the drill program is about $5.5 million. It's one of the fabulous things about working in Mexico. It's so affordable to drill down there. $130 a meter all in. And that's diamond drilling. And you just can't drill anywhere else in the world for those kind of dollars. You go down to Chile, and one of the reasons we want to bring a partner in Chile is you're probably looking more like $500 a meter to drill down there. So yeah, we're well cashed up to do that entire project.
So news flow wise, again, when are we going to start to get some results here? Because that's going to be the catalyst in the near term.
No, it'll be very soon. We're seeing super quick turnaround in the labs in Mexico. And yeah, we were generating news flow about every 3 to 4 weeks on when we were drilling in the spring. And we'll see, we should have news out very shortly. And then you'll see just a continuous news flow about every 3 or 4 weeks after that on drill results.
Okay. Tim, that takes us through this story. Very good overview. I'll post a link to the Fuerte Metals website in the show notes. Please, everyone, read over the company's presentation. Send me any questions you have for Tim, and I'm going to follow up as the company starts to release some of these drill results and gets back to drilling at that Christina property. Again, Tim Warman, CEO of Fuerte Metals. Tim, I appreciate the time and the introduction today.